materials.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I appreciate my 5 minutes for 1 hour under the House rules, which I don't believe is very helpful to my colleagues. So let me begin that we're here to talk about inflation and the impact of inflation on our constituents. And I want to start out briefly and talk about Melissa from Adona, Arkansas. She says it's severely impacting us with gas and grocery prices so high that we couldn't make our $300 car payment last month because my husband had 4 doctor visits to make. We had to do without air conditioning unless it gets above 97 degrees. Our grandkids come over and say, "We thought y'all bought groceries." And we tell them we did, but that's all we could get. My husband is a disabled veteran, and we could barely make it before. And with the rise in prices, we just have faith in the Lord that we can meet our needs. Madam Speaker, that's Melissa from Adona, Arkansas. All of our constituents are suffering. Let me ask my friend from Kentucky, Andy Barr, to talk about the impact of inflation in his district. Mr. Barr, for 1 minute.
I thank my friend from Arkansas, and whether it's Putin's price hike, corporate greed, transitory, depending on the day, Madam Speaker, these are just some of the false narratives in the laundry list of excuses President Biden and Democrats have used to try to explain away the impact of their disastrous economic policies. The truth is, Madam Speaker, that this historic inflation crisis, the fastest rate of inflation in 40 years, is the direct result of policy errors. And the latest excuse from the president comes in this tweet from yesterday. Can you believe it? He says, at current prices, the average driver will spend less than they would if prices had stayed at their peak. The problem is, Madam Speaker, the peak was under his policies. Here's the real tweet. At current prices, Americans will spend $1,200 more per person for gas and a whole lot more than they would have if Joe Biden had not been president of the United States. The reality is our country went from energy dominant to energy desperate, and gas prices have almost doubled in less than 2 years, from $2.36 per gallon to $4.32 today. Not only did that peak occur under President Biden's policy, but I think I speak for all Americans when I say I never thought I would see the day when an American president would celebrate gas prices north of $4 nationwide. My story, Melissa from Arkansas. My story is Charlie from Fleming County, Kentucky. He's a farmer, and he cannot afford these diesel prices. He told me, I don't know, Congressman, where you come up with these numbers in Washington, D.C., 9.1% inflation. To us in America, it feels 2 or 3 times that much. This inflation is hurting Americans. Time to reverse course and end these disastrous policies of war against American energy. I yield.
I thank my friend from Kentucky for his strong words. I want to bring my friend from Florida, Byron Donalds, the 19th District of Florida, up. And when Byron says he comes forward, I got a note from Ron in Little Rock. He's a 100% disabled veteran. He's not eating well. He's not able to go places because of the cost of gas in this country. He has to conserve his gas money in order to go to the VA for his primary care. Byron Donalds from Florida, I yield to you 1 minute.
I want to thank the gentleman from Arkansas for yielding. Energy prices are up over 35%. Groceries have surged more than 11.9%. The consumer price index is up 9.1%. The CPI is up 9.1%. Producer price index is up close to 12. None of this was happening before the American Rescue Plan was passed by congressional Democrats and signed into law by Joe Biden. Before that time period, our inflation rate was holding steady between 2 and 3%. What happened? What happened was the congressional Democrats and the President of the United States, Joe Biden, unleashed a labor shortage on the United States. People did not have to go to work in order to continue to buy goods. So what happens when you take people out of the workforce is that they have money to spend, but there's not enough supply in the economy because enough people are not working to provide the product for enough goods. So if there's not enough goods, but everybody has money, prices go up. It happens every single time. This is very simple. Even Lawrence Summers, who was the economic advisor to Bill Clinton, said that the American Rescue Plan was going to unleash a massive inflation in the United States. House Republicans said if you pass that bill, it was going to unleash a massive inflation across the United States. So the American people need to know and understand that it is congressional Democrats and Joe Biden, it is their policies that have unleashed the worst inflation most Americans have ever seen in their lives. With that, I yield back to the gentleman from
I
Arkansas.
thank my friend from Florida, and I ask my friend from California, Young Kim, to tell us how inflation is impacting her constituents. I yield such time as she may consume to Young Kim.
Thank you to my friend and colleague French Hill for yielding. Families, workers, and small businesses are hurting from the highest inflation in over 40 years. And in Southern California, where I'm from, everything is more expensive. Inflation doesn't discriminate. It impacts every American and hurts small businesses and workers with less income the most. For example, Raul and Rosalinda Davis, owners of Tlaquepaque restaurant in Placentia in my district, told my office, and I quote, "Higher gas prices and issues with our supply chain are leading to increasing costs from everything from beverages to meat for ingredients to workforce shortages. As a restaurant, we run our small business with very tight revenue margins, and a small change in prices can really hurt our bottom line. If we have to pass on higher costs to our customers, it puts us in a tough place when we are competing against bigger restaurants that can absorb higher costs," and I end quote. While the Biden administration calls inflation temporary and seeks to redefine the long-established meaning for a recession, I have introduced bills to combat inflationary spending, lower taxes on Californians, and support job creators. Policies from Congress should make life more affordable, not less. Thank you, and I yield back.